My name is Hannah, and this is my year of less stuff. Hey y'all, welcome back to another video about what's cheering me up right now. This is like taking the place of my favorites video. Last time I did a favorites video, I mean my favorites videos are all just like what I'm into, what I like, rather than being, as I've said so many times before, that like laundry list of new products that have been the ones I've liked the most this month, which is like the traditional beauty guru favorites video. This is just me. This has always been just me talking about like what's getting me through, what's giving me pep in my step. And the last time I filmed one, for the thumbnail, I wrote what's cheering me up right now. I think I called it March favorites or February favorites or something. Maybe it was March favorites. I feel like it wasn't a full month ago, but that's like a point that I'm coming to. I think I called it blah, blah, blah favorites. And then I wrote what's cheering me up right now in the thumbnail. And I feel like what's cheering me up right now should be its own pandemic series. I feel like for the length of this quarantine, instead of favorites videos, I'm gonna be filming what's cheering me up right now videos. And I think that we could all use more than one a month. So goodbye to just like February favorites, March favorites, April favorites, and hello to what's cheering me up right now. Every single time I feel like I have a long enough list to deliver, to like make a full video. So I've been writing them down, I got a long enough list, and so I'm filming. Let's go ahead and get into the meat of the video. I love this idea because it gives me the opportunity to share with you like the stuff that I'm like watching and that I'm enjoying and all of that stuff. I get a lot of requests for that kind of thing, but I don't want to make like, well, I mean, I guess I could. There's nothing wrong with it, but it doesn't feel right to me. Or the idea of a video where I'm just like, here's what I'm like reading and watching these days, like it doesn't spark me. And I've learned over my years on YouTube not to try to force myself to film a video just because it sounds good in the abstract. I really have to want to film it for it to be a good video. But this, I really like this kind of framing, and I feel like I can weave in suggestions. What's wrong with me? Suggestions and recommendations and like letting you guys know what I've been enjoying. So some of this is going to be some of that. I'm just going to be like dropping little things here and there of like what I've actually been enjoying, but it's within the larger framework of what's cheering me up right now. We're already in the meat of the video. I don't know why I'm still talking. Number one, ambient music for working. As many of you know, I have this big writing project that I'm beating my head against right now. It's just like, it's a lot. It's emotionally taxing. It takes a lot of time. It's very important. And it's been consuming me. And I have gone back to a practice that I've sort of like drifted in and out of over the course of my life, but recently it's been really, really helping me, which is to listen to weird, floaty, ambient music while I'm working. I learned about this genre of music called lo-fi from Lacey in maybe one of her favorites videos a long time ago. And then I got really into lo-fi. So I have a couple of favorite lo-fi YouTube channels, but specifically a couple of favorite like actual videos, like a video where it's just like music for the entire thing, and I'll listen to the same video over and over again. They're the same like soundtrack over and over again, but they're long. It's not like just one song. It'll be like 45 minutes of music or an hour of music. And I have a couple of favorites that I often listen to when I'm trying to concentrate. But recently I've branched out into some non-lo-fi music, and some of it's like dreamy guitar music, just like acoustic, sleepy music, and some of it's like weird pinging, panging, like celestial galaxy, like with twanging noises, like a I don't know, what's synth type of noises, synthy stuff. It's not like it's not like high art, and it's not like the kind of thing that I would like sit around listening to and like jamming to, but it just helps so much to create like a buffer between my interior world as I'm working and the exterior world. And I think that it's important right now because it's hard. This is going to be so weird, but it's hard to concentrate when you're in the same place all the time. It's hard. It's like the place, this space, this one studio apartment that we're in has become like heavy with our life, like laden with the stuff of our life. It's become like thick with us being in here all the time. And I usually escape that when I need to work. I'll like go to the library or go to a coffee shop and I really like to be in just like a weird, white, noisy public environment and work. And like that environment creates a buffer between me and my interior life and the rest of my life, which is a lot of times stressful and distracting, or again, just like beefy. You know what I mean? The stuff of it. Here in quarantine, stuck inside and having to do this hard work in the same space as all of the other stuff, it's become more important than ever to have like a shield around myself, to have like a little nut that I can go into to do my work, to do my working. I was gonna be like, to do my working. This music has been that for me, and I've just really, really been enjoying it. So I'll link no judgy, you guys, no judgy. I'm using it for a specific purpose. Don't click on it and then be like, this is dumb, and now I think that Hannah's dumb. I've just been really enjoying the feeling of going into my own little cocoon because of this weird, dreamy, abstract music, and I wanted to share that with you. It's one of the things that's cheering me up right now. Item number 2, paper books. I've always loved paper books, but for some reason right now, they are more comforting than ever, more comforting than digital reading, like, reading on, I have a Kindle. I've just been really gravitating towards paper books, and I think it might be because, and we've talked about this a little bit before on here, but social media has emerged during this time as being a real superhero. It's like helping us to stay connected and communicate with each other and comfort each other and share information with each other in a way that we really need. Just like imagine how hard it would be to get through this and to know what's going on and to, find some like comfort, some consolation. Imagine how hard it would be to get that if we didn't have this kind of media, if we didn't have these social networks, these internet networks. So I feel like I've been turning to that more than I usually do, because I usually try to kind of like keep it to a couple hours a day. I try to like have a lot of time in my life where I'm not glued to the internet and specifically to social media. But it's been more compelling lately. It's almost like we've needed it more. And I think for that reason, when I'm ready to read a book, like having a paper book and not having it be lit up and not having it be electronic just feels so good. It just feels so good. So I've been reading some paper books that I've had in my apartment for a long time that I haven't read yet. Shame. But I also did buy a book, which I almost never do. I've been getting questions about my library habits because during my Nova year, I wasn't allowed to buy books. I started going to the library and it was magnificent. And I haven't stopped going to the library, but when I moved, I think it was actually even in my budget year, like after the no-buy year, I no longer had a problem over buying books because I had fallen so in love with the library. So I haven't specified that books are something that I have to budget for because I just don't feel like I compulsively overbuy them anymore. So I feel like I have a healthy relationship with buying books. And so once in a while I do it. And I bought I guess it's the second book in the trilogy that's like the framing trilogy for The Golden Compass. So Philip Pullman wrote these 3 books, the Golden Compass series, and now he's writing 3 more books, or he's written 2 and he's working on the 3rd. One comes before The Golden Compass when Lyra was a baby, and the other 2 are coming after. So that one came out a while ago. If you've been watching me since way back in the day when I went to that writing residency in the mountains of North Carolina, I reread The Golden Compass and I filmed this like horrible tinny little video from the cabin in the woods where I was in residence, and I talked about the books that I was reading. And one of them was that prequel, and the other was the Golden Compass trilogy all in one book. That just feels like ages ago. And I remember that at that time, when I read the prequel and then reread the trilogy, I couldn't wait for this book to come out, the next one, The Secret Commonwealth is what it's called. Then one of you commented that it was released and that you were reading it, and that was how I found out about it. I was like, oh my God. So I immediately ordered it. It's big, thick, hardback book, and it was so wonderful. It really, really was one of the things that was cheering me up for the couple of days that it took me to read it. I just whizzed through it. But then it really kind of like got me on the train. And then I started like pulling other paper books off of my shelves. I'm not talking about paperback books. I'm talking about books that are like, printed on paper, not on the screen. And I then recently placed another order. I bought some more books. I remembered I had this vague echo of a ghost of a memory of a series of 4 mysteries that I had loved reading when I was about 22 years old. A friend of mine gave them to me. I borrowed them from him, read them, loved them. I just remember them being like really good mysteries, and I love mystery novels, like just classic cozies. Really good mysteries, but also very clever and kind of quirky. And I couldn't remember the titles or the author. The only thing I could remember was that the cover illustration on the copies, the cover illustrations on the editions that I read that I borrowed from my friend were by Edward Gorey. So I searched mystery novels, Edward Gorey cover, and like I poked around and I found them. They popped up, and the first one is called. Here, I'm gonna have to look it up because they're in the mail to me and I still can't remember what they are. Okay, it's just as I thought. The first one is called "Thus Was Adonis Murdered," and the author is Sarah Caudwell, Caudwell, Sarah Caudwell. So they're on their way to me, and this is a cool thing. I was looking on Amazon because I'm, just a robot, and I was like, books on Amazon, and I just felt like to buy all 4 books in the series from Amazon, it was just too much for me. It was going to be like $50 because, they're paper, even though they're paperbacks, they're each like $9, $10, $11. And I was just like, oh, I can't do that after all these years of library going. And with what's going on right now in my life, I just couldn't bring myself to do it. So I looked on eBay and I found the set of like all 4 books sold together as a set for like $18. It was like under $20. I think I even ended up paying under $20 with shipping. So it might have even been closer to $15 being sold by some sort of big eBay like book warehouse. And I hadn't ever really thought of buying books from eBay. I cannot wait to get my hands on them. I can't wait to dig into them and to read them. And I might even keep poking around for paper books that I really want to read on eBay. Isn't it weird that I keep calling them paper books? Like, was that what the world has come to? That if you're talking about an actual book printed on paper, you have to call it a paper book instead of just a book. Paper books, that's what's cheering me up right now. Okay, third, this is like a serious, straight up recommendation, though I'm sure a lot of you already knew about this business already. And I knew about it already. I just have like returned to it full force. There are 2 drag queens, Trixie Mattel and Katya. 2 of my favorite queens to have ever competed on RuPaul's Drag Race, especially Katya. I was gunning for her so hard during her season. They have a YouTube show together, and it's called that's the title of the show. I've been watching it forever. I mean, it's been like years that they've been making this show. And for a while they were on Vice. I think they took a break for a little while because Katya was in recovery. And then they came back and they're still making the show. I think there are so many episodes on YouTube. There's like hours and hours. The show is about 10 minutes long, roughly, every time, 10, 12 minutes long. It's just Katya and Trixie sitting there in drag talking about a topic. It's like hot seat. They're like both in the hot seat and they're chatting about a topic, but they're interacting with each other. And they're very funny. I mean, they have that kind of classic wit, quick wit of drag queens, like drag culture, but they're also highly intelligent and they have ways of plumbing their history, their personal histories, their emotions, and like recasting them to discuss the topic at hand or using them as examples, like narrative examples from their own lives. They do it in a way that's like self-deprecating but also loving, digging at each other but also tender. The editors are like the heroes of it because it's got this incredibly dynamic like puppetry editing, kind of like Monty Python editing. You have to watch it to know. It doesn't make sense for me to explain it to you. It's one of these things that you really like. You just if you're interested at all, even the barest speck of a whisper of interest, you should click through and watch one of the episodes. I'll link a couple of the ones that I like the most down below. I think that the thing that kind of has made it nourishing to me during this time is that that intelligence and self-awareness, that kind of like emotional honesty that's there. It's weird to say that about because it's totally like a just slapstick bananas comedy show. Like it's all for laughs. But in the way that I often will listen to, like I was chatting with Buffalo Beauty Boy on Instagram stories recently. He's been listening to the books on tape from Louise Penny, starring Chief Inspector Gamache, which I absolutely love. And we were just chatting. I love those books, and I specifically love the books on tape. And we were talking about how good the narrator is of those books. He, when he was still living and narrating those books, his voice, his humanity, his way of filling the story with interpretation, it was like half of the reason that I loved them so much and listened to them. So there's like this, it's like this question of shaping, of form, like the content. The books were the content, but he gave them form, he gave them life in this really just intelligent, humorous way that felt like it grounded me in the human experience. And so it's like, he didn't speak a word of his own. You know what I mean? It was just his reading of them. And I feel similarly about I feel like the humor is the content, like it's the deliverable. But these bodies that are delivering it, these just intelligent, self-aware, troubled, but also successful bodies, as like Katya and Trixie, that, to finish the sentence, these wonderful, wonderful people, they make me feel like I'm having an experience of being grounded in what's beautiful about humanity. Not just what's funny, not just that drag queens are funny, not just their like off-the-wall humor, but what's really like deeply beautiful and gives me hope about humanity. So I want to recommend not just as a way to get a quick laugh, but as something that has really been cheering me up lately on like all levels. Another thing that's been cheering me up is working on my quilt. I mentioned it in a Get Ready With Me recently, which I at this point haven't edited yet, but hopefully will go up before this video, because in that video I had the quilt pieces and I was showing them to you, and they're so beautiful. I'm so proud of myself with this quilt, and it's coming along and it's been cheering me up. And one of the things, maybe this is why it makes it onto this list, even though I already talked about it in a video, one of the things specifically I feel like that's cheering me up about it is that it's not unproductive, because I'm producing a quilt, but it doesn't matter as much as the other kinds of productive work that I'm doing right now. So this work matters so much because of connecting to you guys. Like it feels important to me. It feels like this kind of like job, like my work in the world. You know what I mean? Like it feels like my work in the world. And it also matters because it's helping to keep the boat afloat a little bit financially for a little bit longer than we would be able to keep it afloat if I didn't have this work and our business had just collapsed. So it's like kind of a lifeline, and it feels like important work to me. So it's like my work in the world in all of these ways. Same with the writing. It's not paying me now, but if I can keep doing it, if I can do well enough at it, I'm hoping that it can eventually be a career. So it just feels like the stakes are very high. The quilt, it's not my work in the world. It's just like a thing that I'm making that's really beautiful. The stakes are very low. That's why it's cheering me up, because it has been so hard to get relief from the pressure to do work that has high stakes right now, because it just feels like it's all stakes. The whole world feels like stakes. My whole life feels like stakes right now. And when I'm working on that quilt, I just feel like I've just like stepped aside. I just sidestepped the stakes for a little while. I'm in like this cool, quiet room where there are no stakes, and I need it so bad. Big pots of tea, that's what's next on the list. Big pots of tea have been cheering me up. I do have a teapot, but a scandalo, I was using it to store kitchen utensils because it had been so long since I made like a big pot of tea. And I talked about this in the video about what I bought, because one of the things I bought, not with my budget, but just recently, was a big actual kettle. I'll link it actually, because it's a great kettle. It's a stainless steel zebra kettle made in Thailand. It is so good. I got this kettle so that I could make big pots of tea, because we didn't have a water kettle for our stove that was big enough to make enough water at once to make a big pot of tea. I've been doing it because it's something that I do when I'm working on writing for long hours. It really helps me to have a big pot of tea there so that I can just like suckle away at it while I'm concentrating on my work. And it's just been great. Tea's like so good for you if you don't put a lot of sugar in it. I mean, this is just how I feel about food, right? But for me, if I just put tea, a bit of cream, I really like chai tea. I've been doing a lot of chai tea. I really love this tea called Bengal spice in the tea category under the teapot, the water kettle, I mean. That's what I'm going to link down below. Bengal spice tea. Okay, closing in on it. I promised Joe that I would only be filming for half an hour this video, so I'm just like kicking A and taking names as I whiz through this list. But this is so fun, and I think, I don't know, has everyone noticed, or is it just me because I'm like a great grandmother in terms of how I interact with technology. I do not like using my phone for anything. I cannot communicate on my phone. I can be like YN. I don't like texting on my phone. I don't like writing emails on my phone. I don't even like touching my phone. Like I'm against it. What I do have like a problematically close relationship with is my laptop. I've been offended that there are things that you can't do on your computer. I just feel like the phone is like underneath the computer for me in the ranking. It's like computer, you can do everything. It's very powerful. It's got a big screen. It's got a full-size keyboard, and it has access to all the apps and everything. And then underneath that is the phone, which is just like a little teeny tiny, clumsy, subpar version of a computer. And so why would you use it? Only ever if you're in a place where your computer's too big and you can't take your computer. Like if you go to a concert or something, or to the grocery store, that's when you take your phone. This is how I feel about it. So I have been just like personally offended when there have been things that I have to use my phone for because like the technology is designed that way. And one such thing, possibly the most offensive such thing so far, has been Instagram messaging, DMs. You can only, do you know this, phone people? Like you can't go onto Instagram on your desktop or your laptop, go to Instagram.com and go to your profile and access your messages. You formerly were not able to do that. So I installed this program called Flume on my desktop a long time ago that allowed me to access my DMs on my desktop, but it's kind of glitchy and it has the most aggressive and idiotic autocorrect ever. Every time I chatted with someone on Flume, I would end up saying things I didn't mean because of its autocorrect. Finally, they have made the Instagram DMs available on Instagram.com on your account. And you better believe I'm in there like DMing away. I'm like composing full sentences and communicating full thoughts in my Instagram DMs like never before. And it has really been a source of joy for me. Finally. And then the last thing that has been cheering me up, possibly the most wonderful one, is that in my area, in downtown LA where I live, we've started doing, I don't know who started it, if someone sent an email, I didn't get the memo, but or someone just started it one night. We started doing it at 8:00 p.m., the cheering and applauding out the window for healthcare workers and other workers who are out there doing jobs that are necessary. I mean, I always feel like I'm cheering for the healthcare workers, absolutely, but I also feel like I'm cheering for the people who have been like doing Instacart grocery shopping, the people delivering our mail, like everyone who's out there working. We've been opening the window at 8:00, leaning out and applauding, or one of us will like flash the lights on and off because a lot of people are doing that around here. From our window, you can see a lot of other windows in a lot of other buildings, some of which are like 30 stories high, like really tall skyscrapers where, you know, people live in them. It's like apartment buildings. You can see a lot of windows in which a lot of people are quarantined from our window, and you can hear a lot. So we've been, and everyone has been, at 8:00 opening all our windows and cheering, applauding. A lot of times we bang a pot, like we'll get a wooden spoon in a big kitchen pot and bang it like a big gong or a big bell, and lots of other people do that too. So there's all this banging, lots of turning the lights on and off, and lots of just cheering and yelling and whooping and just like, yes, like yelling and screaming. And it's just such a shot in the arm every single time. It's so awesome. And the best thing about it is taking a moment out of the day to like pull oneself up out of one's own worries and misery and anxiety and be grateful. But to do that like as a huge yelling group with strangers, that is, how could that not cheer you up? It's so good. It's such a good practice. And it's such an awesome like group decision that we've all made, the hundreds and hundreds of people who are doing this in our area. I don't know how many people are doing it. I don't know if it's going on all over LA and all the neighborhoods, but I just know for sure that within like shouting distance and visible distance for us, we're all doing it. And then the other thing that's great about it is it's like just to see everyone. You can kind of see them on their balconies. A lot of them really far away. I mean, it's like a big city downtown, so you can, there's just little specks out there. Some of the buildings are really far away, but you can see people in there, some of them jumping and cheering. And you know, we feel so isolated right now, but in reality we're surrounded by all these people and they all feel so isolated too. And just seeing them like let loose and yell and scream and bang and cheer and celebrate the people who are risking themselves and doing such hard work and keeping the world running right now, it makes us feel less alone, and it makes us feel less isolated and less prone to hopelessness. So that has been amazing. I'm very grateful that that's happening here in our area. Those are the things that have been cheering me up lately. And now that this video is over, I can start making a new list. And as soon as it's long enough, I'll film another video. I'm going to give you as many of these as I can during this weird time, what Kumail and Emily are calling the weirds. As long as we're in the weirds, I'm going to be making lists of things that are cheering me up and sharing them with you. Thank you so much for watching this one. I hope that you enjoyed it. Needless to say, I want to know what's cheering you up. Let me know in the comments down below. And don't forget to take extra good care of yourself right now so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.